2018 Ford EcoSport Review. The favorable points of Ford EcoSport. Lots of engine options. Generous standard equipment. Good AR driving. Refined power plants. The bad points of Ford EcoSport. Still looks awkward. Unconventional boot lid is impractical. Tight rear legroom. Rivals incredibly competitive. With underpinnings and mechanical components distributed to Britain's most widely used car, the EcoSport really should be a surefire win for Ford. However, since launch in 2014, it's neglected to make a huge impact inside the UK, largely because of the strength of their competition. With names like the Nissan Juke, Peugeot 2008, Renault Captur and Citroën, the EcoSport has lots of competitors like the Fiesta active hatch cum crossover. Thoroughly overhauled in 2017, that has a fresh new view in line with Ford's latest models, with an interior dropped in the 8th generation Fiesta. The EcoSport is fighting fit to battle the numerous rivals inside the compact SUV market. It's in accordance with the previous generation Fiesta, meaning it ought to provide an entertaining drive, too, even for just a high-riding crossover. Good choice of engines. As you'd expect out of Ford, there's numerous petrol and diesel possibilities to buyers, from punchy yet efficient EcoBoost petrols to frugal diesels. Available to buyers can be a choice of 1.0-liter EcoBoosts in 125 and 140 horsepower form, together with a 1.5-liter TC diesel with 100 horsepower. Joining kids later in 2018 is definitely an AWD version powered using a new 1.5-liter EcoBlue diesel with 125 horsepower, as well as entry-level 100 horsepower 1.0-liter EcoBoost. Good to operate a vehicle, if you're little unexciting. It could well be harsh to criticize the EcoSport for not driving much like the smaller, chuckable Fiesta, especially because it demonstrates some traits found within the Supermini, with sharp steering plus a willingness for being thrown about. The taller body means it rolls a little bit inside the corners, as well as the ride thinks a little fidgety on examples with larger wheels. While it's not unbearable, it doesn't feel as adult and balanced being a Citroën. Plenty of big car tech in the body. Ford's Sync 3 voice-activated multimedia strategy is standard on all trim levels, with higher-spec models having a large touchscreen like you'll find inside the latest Fiesta, considering the connectivity options you may want. In fact, the EcoSport has a good number of standard equipment even on entry-level Z-Tech models. However, if you want more, there's the titanium and sporty ST-line trims to maneuver up to. As is the norm, there's a variety of personalization solutions to EcoSport customers, largely centering around the exterior color combinations, with bright shades intended for the main bodywork, and contrasting roof colors in black, white, red or orange available too depending on your choice. The verdict. It's less of a challenge to recommend the EcoSport now Ford has given it a reasonably thorough overhaul in the pre-facelifted car. Quality has moved up since production has moved from India to Romania, and using a dashboard design similar to the modern Fiesta, it feels more up-to-date inside. To drive, it rides and handles well overall, but doesn't entertain like other Ford models. Space inside is nice, or even class-leading, and also the high driving position appeals to many. However, with so much fresh competition coming from all over the auto world, it is able to still feel somewhat outdated with awkward looks. It's a lot better than it was and several high-list prices. It does come using a lot of equipment to produce up due to this, though, and yes, it's likely you'll be capable of strike much at your local Ford dealer. 2 petrols and 2 diesels. All are turbocharged. Limited gearbox choice. Powering the EcoSport is a variety of turbocharged petrol and diesel engines, all within other cars in Ford's range, which is often a great place to begin with. Turbocharged EcoBoost petrol engines. If you wish petrol power, you will find 3 versions of Ford's accomplished 1.0-liter EcoBoost 3-cylinder petrol. There's a 125 horsepower version coupled which has a 6-speed manual gearbox, effective at traveling from 0-62 miles per hour in 12.7 seconds. An automatic version with this is available too, by having an 11.6-second 0-62 miles per hour time being offered. Both versions have a very torque figure of 170 Nm. So it's likely you must work it hard to create progress about the motorway. By way of example, it'll top out at 111 miles per hour, offering the lift in power may be the 140 horsepower iteration on this engine. Despite any additional power and torque boost to 180 Nm, it's very little quicker compared to 125 horsepower car. Going from 0-62 miles per hour in 11.8 seconds and onto a top-notch speed of 116 miles per hour, you'll want any additional power that this model offers, though, because it can require some time to coax the EcoSport nearly speed. It's thrilling to rev the engine out, which you should do, but that's the consequence of having a bulkier car compared to Fiesta to haul around. If you've no difficulty with revving it, then there's fun to become had. Nonetheless, it never gives quite as up to you expect it to from the way it sounds. It sounds quicker and much more eager laptop or computer really is. Finally, joining the EcoSport lineup later in 2018 is surely an entry-level 100 horsepower version of the EcoBoost engine. Performance figures have yet to become confirmed. The diesel options. Those trying to find the ultimate in low running costs will need to consider among the 1.5-liter diesel engines, being released in a selection of outputs, 100 horsepower or 125 horsepower. The 100 horsepower diesel is really a 1.5-liter Durate mated to some 6-speed manual gearbox driving the leading wheels only. There's a handy 215 Nm of torque being offered to haul it along, but speed suffers mainly because it takes 14 seconds to acquire from 0-62 miles per hour, all of which will reach its top speed at 99 miles per hour. For more oomph, there's the 125 horsepower EcoBoost coming mid-2018, paired which has a 6-speed manual gearbox and all-wheel drive. This engine delivers a much more usable 300 Nm of torque, rendering it the punchiest in the lot, which has a 0-62 miles per hour period of 10.9 seconds as well as a top speed of 112 miles per hour. It's a nippy engine that could get quite coarse and vocal after you rev it, however it's easy for making fast progress, plus it pulls well generally in most gears. This is likely to get a small volume seller, though, supposed to take just 5% of total EcoSport sales inside UK, plus we don't envisage many buyers working with that AWD system. Something we noticed when driving your vehicle is that it's not necessarily the easiest for making smooth gear changes. The odd to the rev the petrol engine's quite hard mean you'll be creating faster shifts, which could cause the automobile to pitch and feel quite jerky when getting as much as speed. The automatic Ford EcoSport. We stood a chance to sample the EcoSport that has a 6-speed automatic gearbox on the UK launch event. This is only obtainable with the 1.0-liter 125 horsepower EcoBoost petrol motor, so covers 0-62 miles per hour in 11.6 seconds, which has a top speed of 111 miles per hour. This gearbox is perfectly adequate with the vast majority of drivers, with just a minimal delay in power delivery and smooth gear changes. tidy handling is really a Ford trait. EcoSport drives fairly well for any tall car. Noticeable body roll, but good steering. While the EcoSport is depending on the previous Fiesta, you may expect a similar pin-sharp handling because car is significantly taller and comes around a lot more when cornering. It's beneficial, though, and yes, it handles well for just a taller car, though. Having a sharp and direct steering setup, it is possible to tell it's a Ford and sufficiently good grip levels for some. It can appear a little vague throughout the straight ahead, but that lends itself into a settled and secure feeling about the motorway. If we're splitting hairs, we feel the steering is usually a little within the heavy side, particularly street line trim having its sportier suspension, but it really is not just a serious issue. It simply helps make the EcoSport feel sportier. Let's make prudent. Most drivers of the compact SUV such as this aren't going to become wannabe racing drivers. For most then, it's an excellent performer, if you're a little less exciting than other cars within the range. The ride is really a bit of your mixed bag, though. Higher spec models with larger 17-inch alloy wheels can appear unsettled over uneven surfaces using a noticeable fidgetiness towards the ride. At higher speeds though, it's great at handling imperfections inside the road, and do not thuds into bumps, the worst ones. We found the heavier diesel version with the EcoSport for being extra stable and settled around the road compared to using the petrols, too. Lifted design on the new Fiesta. Huge improvement since original launch. Touchscreen media is very easy to use. Before its update in 2017, the EcoSport featured a dashboard lifted in the previous generation Fiesta, just with fewer appealing plastics. It felt quite low-rent and dated. However, the facelift incorporates a complete overhaul from the inside, which now comes with the most recent Fiesta's form of dashboard setup, having a prominent touchscreen infotainment system within easy reach from the driver, a collection of clear dials and plenty of plusher-feeling materials. It certainly feels nicer versus the Citroën inside in the event it comes on the material quality, but you can find still some harder plastics around the doors, reducing down for the center console. It feels worlds away in the pre-facelift car, and immediately helps make the EcoSport appealing proposition to possible buyers. It's filled with equipment, too, which is simple to operate as a result of clear controls that fall within easy reach on the driver. The touchscreen infotainment is particularly an easy task to use. Your driving position feels quite high, even weighed against other crossovers, but that's very likely to appeal for people moving for this type of car from your regular small hatchback, for any clearer view from the road and also a feeling of security. For us, we'd enjoy visiting a little more adjustment inside the seats though, when you do feel somewhat too high. Comfortable seats. Suspension deals well with bumps. Big wheels can upset the ride. Despite the great drive, the EcoSport remains a cushy car to pay time in. The seats on higher spec models are snug and supportive for one side's less when you have long legs, but looking for one of these trims means larger wheels that upset the ride out and about. It's never too uncomfortable, but cars just like the Citroën and Renault Capture complete a better job of settling down, avoiding becoming upset by imperfections from the road out partying. One thing we actually did notice would be the noise, or insufficient it. The EcoBoost feels incredibly refined about the road, with din through the engine and road noise admirably suppressed, even if reaching towards rev limiter in the EcoBoost petrols. On the motorway, however, there's a lots of wind noise being created about the large door mirrors and windscreen pillars. The front from the EcoSport remains to be quite bluff, along with a fair level of wind noise is kicked up. Plenty of kit as standard. Titanium and ST line feature packed. Little must-add options. 3 trim levels are being offered for the EcoSport, following usual Ford trim setup, Zetec, Titanium and ST line. Standard Ford EcoSport equipment. The EcoSport Zetec kicks off the stove, together with the following equipment included: 16-inch alloy wheels, LED daytime running lights, air conditioning, electric windows and door mirror adjustment, heated front windscreen, Ford Sync 3 multimedia system with 6.5-inch touchscreen with Apple CarPlay, Android Auto and USB connectivity. Moving nearly titanium nets the next on top of Zetec. 17-inch alloy wheels, power folding door mirrors, silver finish roof rails, part leather upholstery, keyless entry and ignition, automatic lights and wipers, cruise control, climate control, rear view camera with rear parking sensors, Sync 3 infotainment system with 8.0-inch touchscreen and sat-nav. Sitting with the top of kids is the ST line, building on titanium with 17-inch alloys with dark finish, sports suspension, black roof rails, contrasting roof and door mirrors, ST line specific bumpers and side skirts, plus rear spoiler, sports pedals, red stitching on gear lever and handbrake. Optional Ford EcoSport accessories. There's a good amount of scope for adding extras towards the EcoSport, from alloy wheels to bright and bold paint roof color combinations, and also more kit. Privacy glass might be added at extra expense, as can a sunroof on titanium and ST line trims. There's a comfort pack entirely on all models, adding heated front seats and controls, as the titanium Luxe pack adds full black leather upholstery, HID headlights and heated front seats to titanium models at extra expense. An upgraded sound method is available, called B&O Play, which include the 8.0-inch touchscreen on titanium and ST line trims, together with 10 speakers. 4-star Euro NCAP safety rating, but which was for pre-facelift car. From 2017 on, more safety kit added. The unfortunate fact about Ford EcoSport safety is it's just not as much as scratch in comparison with many rivals. It was only scored 4 stars by Euro NCAP when it had been crash tested in 2013, mainly because on the lack of speed limiter and rear seatbelt reminders, but additionally because more testing of top end could well be required for any better pedestrian safety score. Since then, a speed limiter may be added to your cruise control system, and other driver assistance tech, for example blind spot monitoring, is added on the options list, in addition to new side and thorax airbags. That said, it scored 93% within the adult occupancy tests, meaning it's a safe and secure car for being in should the unthinkable happens. You get a large number of airbags to maintain you safe, while electronic safety features, for instance stability control with rollover and mitigation, serve to hold the car for the road in tricky conditions. Decent interior space all round. Very great for headroom for the majority of. Tailgate would be the biggest issue. There's enough room inside the back to accommodate 2 adults if there isn't a couple of tall people inside front, with legroom varying while using angle with the rear seats. You get a smattering of storage cubbies including a chilled glove box, that may hold 6 cans of drink, and door pockets, that can hold 1.5-liter bottles of water. You get a drawer under the leading passenger seat too. Put two taller people from the front seats and legroom within the back is quickly diminished, with only young children able to watch out comfortably. The seats can be comfortable, though. The EcoSport isn't particularly big whatsoever, as well as the higher ride height means navigating in and out of tight parking spaces is often a breeze. Tinted windows on higher spec models causes it to become quite dark costly out the back on the car, but due to its slab-sided design, you'd excel to struggle squeezing into most spaces. One problem we noticed would be the large pillars restricting your view out of top, which may become particularly noticeable at junctions where you should pull out of the side street. There's a little quarter light, however it's an exceptionally chunky setup that feels quite obtrusive. The rear door, featuring its swing-style opening, opens on the pavement for that UK as an alternative to away from it. This shouldn't discourage you buying the vehicle, but it really is worth noting all exactly the same if you regularly end up in tight car parks. Reversing the automobile into a space could prove troublesome after you come to spread out the boot. A traditional tailgate will make life less of a challenge, plus it's a significant heavy thing to look at in close, which has a slightly awkward handle located from the tail lights. When considering Ford EcoBoost practicality, it's worth noting that interior space and boot room both vary dependent upon the configuration from the boot floor. There's only 356 liters available together with the boot floor as low the weight can go. If you position it higher, there's a 334-liter capacity, which does fall slightly in need of rivals such as Citroën of 400 liters and Renault Captur, but more versus the Mazda CX-3's 287 liters when you opt for one of several top-spec models. In regular form it's 350 liters with the Mazda, using a part while using Ford. If you fold the trunk seats down altogether, the stress space increases 1,238 liters.